Awesome. All right. What can I help you with?
So I do have a few questions. I was hoping that you could help me answer so that I can keep moving with this.
Absolutely.
The one that I had was, how long do you get with the CRM system? Were you able to find the answer?
Oh, you know what? Let me double check and see what he said.
Thank you.
90 days.
90. Okay.
Yes.
90 days. Just write that down. Okay. And the next one I had was, what are the 20,000 pulled and skip trace for, and when would you use them?
So the 20,000 skip trace, that's for whatever market you want. So we will pull 20,000 properties for you. Well, I mean, you will. You'll tell us what to do, and we'll do it for you. And then you have to pick the market, which we can advise you on which market, obviously. And then we'll skip trace them for you, so you have their contact information so that you can attempt to close them. When you do it, don't do it until after you finish that course. And I don't mean finish it like, okay, I made it through. I made it through all 55 lessons. I'm ready to go. I mean, you understand it, and you can teach it to someone else if you had to.
Got it.
That's when you pull those, because you don't want to waste it. That's expensive. Like that 20,000, like that should have cost a lot of money. And it
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So we don't recommend anyone waste it. So it's not going to, that doesn't expire. You can do it a year from now. We don't care. Just do it when you're ready.
So don't pull the trigger on that now.
No. Do that one. I mean, don't get me wrong. We'll always be here to help. I'll always be here to, help you with an ARV or, putting a deal together. But we want you to be self-sufficient. So
totally
don't
makes
waste
sense.
it.
I prefer that method anyway. Can you tell me what the 2-cent data is?
The 2-cent data?
Yeah, it references it in the training. And then if you click the link, it goes to somebody's already established ChatGPT, Daniel.
Yeah. So he put that together. That might be a bit more advanced. We'll have to set aside like a time specifically just for that. Or maybe we'll set aside a time to do that specifically with you. Yeah. I was going to say I can just do a general video, but no, I want to break it down for you. But the only thing I need to do first is I do believe he is, and you'll get access to this if what I'm saying is accurate. I'm pretty sure it is. I believe he's actively updating that right now. And then it's going to like retroactively add to everybody. Like it'll update on your end automatically.
Okay.
And then let's dive into the one, because that way because anything that I go through now with it is not going to make a whole lot of sense because it's going to change a little bit.
Okay. I'll just make a note to circle back when I'm further down the road.
Yes, we will.
Okay,
and as a matter of fact, I will put it in my phone right now. Hold on. Let me put you in here. All right. So that way, as soon as it's done and I get confirmation, then I can say, okay, hey, we can do that 2-step training now.
Okay, perfect.
2-step training now.
The next one I had was, what is InvestorLift market material generator?
Gotcha. So do you know what InvestorLift is?
I've heard of like InvestorLift cartel mode.
There you go. Okay. So InvestorLift is basically a social media platform for investors only. And there's no posting pictures or anything like that. I'm using social media platforms so people understand, but it's basically a marketplace. Think of like Facebook Marketplace, but it's only for investors and it's only for properties.
Got it.
So what it does is it will, let's say for example, your deal is in Milwaukee, right? So you'll put the deal in based off of the criteria that we tell you, because we figured out, okay, what works and what doesn't. So once you put that in and you've made your material and then you go to post it, it'll automatically trigger every single buyer that is in that market, in those you can pick it by zip code, you can pick it by county, you can pick the entire city, you can pick the entire state of Wisconsin if you want. You can pick all 50 states if you want, but whatever your filters are, it will automatically email them your posting about your deal.
Got it.
Okay, so then they can see it, and then they'll reach out through InvestorLift. And say, hey, I'm interested. They can submit their proof of funds. They can ask you questions. They can text you directly. You guys can exchange phone numbers to get on the phone, whatever the situation is, so you can get in contact with them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay. Where does the down payment money come from? I was in Deal Sniper and I was just plugging in some Milwaukee addresses just to kind of get a feel for like what it does and how it does it. And I kept coming back to like, where does that down payment money come from?
You mean to the seller, like when you put the deal in normal?
Yeah, like when it
Oh, that goes
generates
from the
that
buyer.
letter.
The buyer. You're the investor. So we'll use me and you, for example. Okay. So let's say we'll use me, you, and then you know the name Daniel now. So we'll use Daniel. So Daniel's going to be the buyer.
Mhm.
You own the property. I'm the
Mhm.
wholesaler, right? I send you a deal sniper offer and I say, hey, I'll give you $200,000 with $10,000 down and $500 a month, and I'll get you paid off in 5 years, right? For example.
Uh-huh.
Once I go out and I find that once we get that under contract, you agree to it. You say, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. I say, okay, cool. We'll close on or before 30 days. Then I start marketing the property using InvestorLift, building the disposition material, all the stuff that you're coming across. So
Mhm.
then in comes Daniel. Daniel sees my post about your property and he says, yeah, I'll take it. Okay, great. Well, I'm charging him more than what you're charging me because that's my
Mhm.
profit, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to sell it to him for a $210,000 purchase price with $20,000 down. Once all that money's turned into escrow, you get your 10 that I told you were going to get. And
Mhm.
then he's making those monthly payments to pay off the $500 a month to pay off the balance. And I'm keeping the difference because remember, I charged him 20.
Yep.
So the down payment, the earnest money deposit, all of that's coming from the buyer. That's not coming from you.
Okay. That's what I thought. That was my husband's question. And he's on a call because his name happens to be Daniel as well. He's a 9 to 5.
Nice.
He's a 9 to 5er for the moment. So
We'll get him out of that real quick.
I hope so. That is the goal. I have some
If
big
you
goals.
guys are on, let me tell you something. And again, I don't know shit about your relationship or anything like that. But I will say this: when you have two people that have the same goal, whether they're together or not, and they're both going to and they're on the same page and have the same knowledge and understand the assignment, that's a killer deal. That's a killer situation.
I hope so. I hope all our banking and finance background comes into play here. All those years we spent working for banks.
I hope I'm the way that you're jumping on top of everything, I'm not too worried about it.
It's how I do things, so it can be a little overbearing sometimes because I want to go fast. I want to go now.
It's okay going fast. Just make sure you're prepared to go that fast. That's all.
Yes. I do have some hesitation that's like about doing it wrong, not about what you guys are doing. It's more me. Like, I don't want to make a big screw up. I don't like to make mistakes.
Me neither.
Okay, I have a couple more questions.
Oh, go for it.
Whose name goes under? Thank you. Whose name goes under the seller finance agreement?
Yours. For all intents and purposes, on the paperwork, you're the buyer or your LLC or whatever entity, however you have that structured. It's up to you.
Yeah.
So there's two pieces of paper that's critical in any wholesale deal: the purchase and sale agreement and the assignment contract. The purchase and sale agreement is between you and the seller. The assignment contract is between you and the buyer, basically giving them the contract. Like, we're assigning ownership of that contract from you to them at closing. So that way they're the one that's getting the property when everything is said and done.
That makes sense. Do you come
Unless you're
go
doing
ahead.
something like a double close, and double closes can be tricky and messy. And usually you really only have to do those if you're dishonest and don't tell the seller or the real estate agent you're a wholesaler and you have to double close. As long as you're honest and upfront and work with people who are okay with that, you're good.
I think I've seen that before too, where there's a no assignment clause and then you have to close twice so that you're just transferring. But I don't, if you sell it to your LLC, then you're just giving them temporary ownership of the LLC and then transferring it back when it's done.
That is correct. You can do that as well.
So I understand that one. Okay. So new construction over 90 days. Is there anything special about new construction when it hits 90 days, 120 days, or do they not care because it's new construction, excuse me, and they're just going to wait it out?
It's so funny that you mentioned that because there's one training I did a few weeks ago. I've always been, because of my experience, new construction, doesn't matter how long they're online. They want their money. Like, they'll just wait. But there's like 5 or 6 people in the community that said, hey, Sean, most of everything you say is accurate, but I've been closing new constructions left and right. So I haven't gone after a new construction in like 2 years.
Okay.
So as far as I know, they'd rather just wait. But I say it's worth sending them an email just to find. You never know, apparently, because there's people swearing by it. That's how they're building their pipeline, is through new constructions that are just 180 days on market, 90 days on market, and so on.
It seems fascinating, but there's also my thought of being in their shoes. I try to sit in everybody's seat and see how they would think and feel in the position that they're in. It's like it's sitting there, it's fully constructed, and you're making no money. like you're getting nothing. But anyway, okay. So when I'm in Deal Sniper and it populates the letter, I noticed, and it was mentioned in the training too, 0% for the interest rate. Why does it populate just 0?
Because it's the interest is 0%.
Okay.
So if you go here, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, thank you.
So if you go to this here, you'll notice this is always going to be 0.
Okay.
And the reason being is because if you notice, this property is being sold for $95,000, right?
Yeah.
But we're offering them 105. Well, where's that extra $10,000 coming from? Well, what the system is doing in the background, it's figuring out, and we've got a range of what our investors will pay on a typical interest deal, and we factor that in. It generates what that monthly would have been, and then just adds it to the purchase price. And we're doing that for 2 reasons. One, we want to make sure the seller gets their money. Like, we're not trying to gyp them. Like, no, if you wanted interest, you'll get it. You're just not getting it monthly. You're getting it on top of the purchase price. And that leads us to the second reason. We kind of have to do it that way because if the deal doesn't cash flow, the investor won't buy it. So in order to keep the cash flow as high as possible, we have the monthly payment at 0. So they're still getting the money. They're just getting it on the purchase price instead of monthly. Got it.
They're getting it on the purchase price instead of monthly. Okay. So it does show up somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the background in the algorithm for, like, I don't speak that language, but it's, the AI is doing it.
Got it. Doing its thing. Okay. Well,
they're calculating it. I don't do that part.
No, that makes complete sense. So what happens though when you get into a situation where the seller doesn't want to do seller financing? Because I've had people, we've been doing a different strategy. We've watched, Pace Morby and Jerry Norton and stuff like that. And up until we found, so my son re-mentioned, like, hey, have you looked at those videos from Calvin? Again, I think I mentioned they have a mutual friend.
Yep.
And we were doing it in a way that was really ticking agents off, and it didn't like feel aligned. So
the way that we've kind of noticed before we rolled out Deal Sniper, just doing this for years and beta testing and things like that, what we have found, and this is going to sound scary until you think about what the numbers actually mean. What we found is that, and you'll hear it in the videos, I tell people you got to send a minimum of 20 a day or some combination of 100 a week. Out of those 100, you'll get about 5 positive responses.
Okay.
From real estate agents. And then out of those 5, you'll lock up 2 or 3.
Okay. I have no problem sending. I mean, I got all day, every day. I'm an empty nester, but I've already got the way we were doing it from the Pace Morby Jerry Norton standpoint was we're sending these text messages and then they're sending back before they even say, like, if it's available or answering any of our questions, they won't do seller financing. I'm like, whoa, time out. I didn't even say anything about that. And they're like jumping to it right away.
That's probably because seller finance or creative financing as a whole is becoming more popular and they're getting more offers like that.
Gosh. Okay. That makes sense. So if they don't want to do it that way, is it a dead deal?
That is a matter of opinion. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll tell you my opinion. My opinion is, yeah, it's a dead deal.
Okay.
Because once a property is on market, the formula in order to get it in a price where you can sell it to an investor makes the offer so low that they're going to tell you no anyway. So for example, look at this property, right? This one's listed for $95,000. Now, let me see. Is it in good shape? LVP floor. That's new. That's old, but that's new. That's new. Windows are new. What else? Okay, paint's new. Ceiling fan is old. That paint's new. Floor is new, but yeah, it looks good. Okay, so it's half. So just for sake of argument, I'm going to say the ARV is like 160. Just for sake of argument. I don't know what the ARV is. I'm just to prove a point. So I actually built this into the calculator. We didn't have this in here before like 2 months ago. But if you go to MAO, you'll see this used to always be here.
Okay.
This one I added because everyone kept asking, I want to do a cash offer. It's on market. It's on market. So, and I got tired of answering the same question over again. So I just said, okay, fine, here. So let's say the ARV is $160,000, right? And based off that property, some of the rooms need to be repainted, some of the ceiling fans fixtured, but it's not a lot. Let's just say it needs $10,000 worth of work. And you want to make $10,000 on it. That means you can offer them $100,000. That's more than what it's listed for. You might be thinking, oh, that's awesome. I can offer them $95,000. No, you can't, because If it's listed for $95,000
Mhm.
and it needs that same $10,000 worth of work, because that doesn't change, but it's on market, you can only offer them $37,000. Because the logic behind it is, if you can get it under contract, let's say you get under contract, you're talking down 10 grand. Hey, I got it for 85,000. I want to sell it. Okay, how much do you want to make? I want to make 10 grand. Okay, well, you're selling it for the same price that it's been on market for, that it hasn't sold for in 90 days.
And you're not factoring the 10 grand that the wholesaler is going to make on top of that. So you're going to be what, negative 20 at that point?
You'd be negative 10 if it's still.
Oh, right.
Because you get it for 85, you're going to add $10,000 to it for your assignment fee. That's back to 95. But then technically, it still needs $10,000 worth of work, and it's been on market for 90 plus days.
Oof. Okay.
So you'd have to offer, when it's listed, you can always run it. If someone is adamant about getting a cash offer and you're just like, all right, hell with it, I'll shoot it to you, but you're not going to like it, then that's what this is for. You can just put it in.
Got it.
Now there are some people that swear by just offering people 50-60% of what it's listed for, minus your assignment fee, and locking it up, and they get it sold. I personally have never done that. I've never in all fairness, I've never pushed really hard, because it doesn't make any sense. If you're asking $95,000 for your property, you're not going to take 37. You're just not.
Right. But if you notice, and I don't know how versed you are with Pace Morby and Jerry Norton, that's what they do. They go in and they offer half on everything.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I said
really takes people off.
Yeah. I like making people happy, man. Like, I'd much rather
like to see a win-win-win.
Yeah, like I feel better. I have a conscience. Not saying that they don't. What I mean is, I don't want to mess up somebody's day by giving them a lowball offer. I want to, now if they don't like my creative offer, hey, I offered you more than what you're asking. If you don't like these terms, that's fine. But I don't feel like I've ticked you off.
Right. It's a fair no.
Yeah, it absolutely. Hey, you know what? I'm looking to buy another house, so I need all the money up front. I can't take your offer. Hey, that's completely fair. We're still friends after this. You're not screaming and then hanging up on me because I offered you $37,000 for your $100,000 house.
Yeah, that just feels icky.
Yeah. So I personally don't do it, but this calculator is here if you want to try it.
Okay. All right. Well, I will get back to it. Those are all the questions that I had. It allows me to keep moving and not have these kind of like spaces filled in, so that my brain doesn't just make up answers to things.
That's okay. It's not a problem. And then if you can't, because obviously I'm busy, but we can always make time for these. But if you're in a situation where you can't wait, if you DM me your question or even a voice message of your question, I'll answer you right then and there on the spot. Because I can, like right now, this whole time I've been working with you, I've answered 5 other people's messages. So
nice.
Anytime you need to reach out.
Okay.
You don't have to wait for these one-on-ones.
I will keep moving with this stuff. And I guess so far so good. I appreciate you jumping on the call and taking time to answer all those questions. And I'll probably have more in a few days.
Sounds good. I'll be ready for it. You have a good rest of the day.
Have a good day. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.